Gummadi. Excited to see what exactly these players have brought. It looks like Kevin rocking that Decidueye with the Martial Arts Dojo, kind of interesting. Not necessarily something you always see with the Decidueye, but does allow you to do a little extra damage as long as you have that basic fighting energy attached. And then Teja playing kind of one of the decks we expect to see from this event, right? Zacian V with that Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia Tag Team GX.
Yeah, ADP-zation being a very popular deck. Since its release from Cosmic Eclipse, especially with the Zacian V releasing in Sword and Shield, can put on a lot of aggression quickly, but it may be a little bit of a problem for Teja up against the Decidueye deck, utilizing Martial Arts Dojo, as you said, a very cool card to boost the damage of Decidueye, and this should definitely be an exciting match, and I'm looking forward to it, so hopefully we will have some exciting action for you all. I think we're ready to go ahead and jump into things here. Between both of these players. Chip, initial thoughts on this matchup. What do you think is going to be crucial for both of these players in order to secure a victory in this match?
Well, for Kevin, that Deep Forest camo ability on Decidueye is the key to the matchup, right? It's the key to so many of the matchups. That's kind of what your deck is built to do, to capitalize on the meta, the fact that many people are not playing non-V and non-GX Pokemon in their deck. And, you know, if you can just get that lone Decidueye in play and your opponent does not play an answer, you're going to be in a very good spot to try to close the game out. So Teja is going to have some potential answers. Of course, the timely Mawile GX has the ability that allows you to bring a Pokemon from your opponent's hand onto their bench. If you can time that very well with a Boss's Orders, something like that, that's a way that you can get around the Deep Forest camo of Decidueye. And then, of course, Altered Creation with Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia GX means you just have to take 3 knockouts. So that's really going to be the game plan for Teja. Get that ADP attack off as quickly as possible, use Altered Creation GX, and just try to find those 3 knockouts before a lone Decidueye gets set up by Kevin.
Yeah, so Teja is going to go ahead and start the game off with a Cherish Ball, just taking some time to search through the deck, check what is prized. That's a big part of the Pokemon trading card game, is making sure you know what's prized so you can execute your strategy as best as possible. Is going to grab that Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia off of the Cherish Ball. Sure, we're going to get that seat benched, and this ADP deck loves to go first, so it can get that turn 1 attachment and try to set up Alter Creation as quickly as possible.
Something you always want to see, though, is a Zacian V as well. You want to get that Intrepid Sword. You want to start, drawing more cards, advancing your hand size. Teja unable to find the Zacian, but at minimum gets that attachment, which is what you want. We do see Kevin right away dropping the Bird Keeper. Going to go ahead and draw a few extra cards there. That Rowlet could attack for free this turn, but it looks like it will just be a pass back over to Teja.
Yeah, interesting choice to not go ahead and attack with the Rowlet. I think really wants to let this Fion get knocked out in the active position so that Kevin can utilize that Rosa to grab some of those specific cards out of the deck. We do see a research on Teja's side. He's going to get rid of a few crucial pieces, such as that Metal Saucer, as Energy Spinner will secure the Water Energy, meaning that Teja will be able to get off that Alter Creation for full effect, as well as getting a Zacian V down.
Yeah, and I mean, also for Kevin here, if this Bird Keeper can find a rare candy, you can just pop the Fione back into the deck, right, with that Whirlpool Suction ability and get that lone Decidueye right away. Does not look like that's the case. And there's also a ton of basic Pokemon in Kevin's hand, which could be pretty unfortunate if Teja does decide to go with one of the 2 Mawile GX that they play in their list.
Yeah, this will be pretty interesting to see what Kevin decides to do. We may see the second Rowlet hit the board, but on top of that has a few options like Quick Ball to possibly ditch one of those basic Pokemon, so it's one less thing that Mawile can go and grab. I think gonna go ahead and use the Whirlpool Suction to force Teja to switch as active on the bench, but yeah, Eldegoss is just gonna come up. It's a free floater. Kevin's not really putting on a lot of pressure this turn, so this is definitely a smart choice from Teja to go ahead and throw that Eldegoss up. He'll be able to get, most likely, the Ultimate Ray off and start really just trying to take prizes as quickly as possible before Decidueye gets set up.
And we see Kevin doing exactly what you said. Quick Ball gets rid of that Tapu Fini, a tech for that Blacephalon matchup, of course, the Tempozar deck, as many people call it. And just going to look through the deck here. We might not even see Kevin grab any Pokemon, to be honest. You just don't really want to bench too much stuff. You know, Teja's deck just needs to take 3 knockouts at this point. So if you just keep these Pokemon out of play, you know, a Gourmandize from Snorlax could be okay, but it does look like Kevin is just going to opt for getting nothing and, doesn't use the attack there on Rowlet. I believe could have used it for free, did utilize Birdkeeper for the supportive return.
Yeah, I think in this matchup, it's not as relevant, I guess, in other matchups. Once you establish the lock, pretty much it's on your opponent to find ways to knock out. You really don't have to deal damage necessarily to do this, but we will see the Ultimate Ray take the knockout onto this Rowlet. 3 energy is going to be accelerated onto that Zacian V, and looks like Teja will take the first 2 prizes, but this is not going to be very good, especially with that Rosa in hand, is going to guarantee the rare candy for this Decidueye.
Yeah, exactly what Kevin was waiting for, right? Holding this Rosa in hand, has the pieces to go find the rare candy, grab the Decidueye, can get the energy to continue the attack as well. But, I mean, one thing that is unfortunate, lots of Pokemon in the hand. We actually see the basic fighting as well with the Martial Arts Dojo could even do boosted damage here thanks to the fact that you are now down on prize cards.
Yeah, and that could actually be where the Birdkeeper damage could come in relevant. Could set up a 2-shot onto this ADP if there was any damage on it from that Birdkeeper Wind Shard on the Rowlet. Now it's going to be 3-shotting it. Again, prizes are not the most important thing to this Decidueye deck. It really just wants to get rid of all the options for the opponent. But it can still be relevant, especially when you put your opponent on a clock and start taking prizes. You can win that way too. It doesn't have to just be from deck out. Sometimes you can just win by taking prizes like most decks do in the standard format.
And this tournament is open deck list, right? So Kevin does have full access and is fully aware of Teja's answers to the Decidueye, right? Sometimes you'll see people play things like the Aegislash-V, maybe you'll see a Duraludon slip in, maybe an Oranguru into decks, but Teja's not playing any of those pieces. Just the 2 Mawile is really going to be the only answer at this point.
We do see research get played, so it's going to look through the deck for more cards, most likely something like that Mawile GX. This would be very big for Teja to get 3 basic Pokemon, and Kevin's hand besides that is not very powerful, but we're actually just going to see the Intrepid Sword on the Zacian, and this will put more cards in Teja's hand, trying to set up, but another basic Pokemon off the top deck is just one more thing Mawile can grab.
Yeah, and it's also kind of interesting, though, because as Teja, you have to identify the optimal time, the right time to throw down the Mawile, and it's usually going to be when your opponent has a pretty sizable hand, and Kevin only has 5 cards. Teja probably does not anticipate that 4 of the 5 cards in hand are basic Pokemon, so it's kind of risky because the Mawile is your only answer. So if you don't have a Boss's Orders in combination with the Mawile, you can't really just drop it on its own because then you run the risk of, you know, multiple scoop-up nets. If you, like, say you only hit 1 or 2 Pokemon and then your opponent's able to find 1 or 2 scoop-up nets, right? It's just not going to quite work out. And we actually see Kevin opting to pass here, doesn't want to take the prizes, and I believe that's because wants the additional damage through the rest of the game still with the Martial Arts Dojo.
Yeah, it looks like deciding whether or not to play the research. I definitely think this could be a good move, especially with so many basics in hand. I think if you are going to do that, we'll probably see the Zigzagoon hit the board. Makes sense. You have the Scoop Net in hand, so you won't have to leave that in play. You can get an extra 10 damage on the board. There's no reason not to. So we are going to go ahead and see the research get played. Kevin's going to draw to 7 cards. Really does not want to see any basic Pokemon. And this could be an optimal time to take a knockout if Kevin chooses to. He's got multiple Pokemon communications to constantly throw Pokemon back into the deck. And I mean, at this rate, you are up 12 cards in your deck compared to Teja, and Teja also has a lot of cards in hand, however, but it looks like Kevin is going to go on the offensive, take a knockout, and that's what you do not want to see is a basic Pokemon, but only finds 1, so at worst, there will need to be another Mawile that comes down in order to find another Pokemon, if that even is the case, in order for ADP to secure the game.
And there it is right away. Mawile's captivating wink finds that Jirachi, brings it down into play, and the Boss's Orders in combination going to be able to take this KO. And, I mean, we see, like you said, the multiple Pokemon communications, so you got multiple ways to put Pokemon back in. So, I mean, really the only way at this point that Kevin is going to have a basic Pokemon in his hand is if, you know, he takes it off the prizes, kind of what we saw with this Jirachi, right?
Yeah, this could start to be the situation where Kevin wants to pass more, doesn't want to leave it up to chance, something he cannot control, right? You can control your top decks if you draw into a Pokemon with Pokemon Communications, but your turn ends after taking prize cards, so you cannot use those to throw Pokemon back into the deck, and this will be interesting to see what Kevin decides to do. Interesting choice to also take an extra energy off of the Ultimate Ray. That just puts one less card in your deck, kind of puts you on one less turn, and a top deck Pokemon is exactly what, probably exactly is going to happen with that Pokemon Communication. It's going to throw it back into the deck, and we will see nothing get grabbed, but Kevin may just take the opportunity to see how many Pokemon are left in the deck. Could also take the opportunity to grab something, but you want to leave as many non-basic Pokemon in the deck. Obviously, don't want to put one into your hand, so this may be an opportunity where Kevin decides whether or not to attack or pass the turn. We will see Splitting Arrow won't take any knockouts. It actually will knock out this ADP. My bad. The Dojo gonna increase that damage, and this is where there needs to be no Pokemon off of these three prize cards.
Okay.
I don't see one yet. No, nothing. So Kevin is in a great spot, and if you're Teja, this may be the last opportunity to go for a Mawile when your opponent's hand is going to be so large. So we may see that come down. This is going to be risky. The Quick Ball will be able to find it here out of the deck if it's not already in the hand, and there it is. So will we see the Mawile get played down? If it does, I don't think there's anything that Teja can do, and yeah, this is going to grab no basic Pokemon, and it looks like Kevin will be able to secure this game as Teja has no more outs to Gust, and obviously playing only GX and V Pokemon in the deck will be unable to hit that Decidueye.
And right away, we see the first please. Teja recognizes the situation, understands, hey, I don't have any more answers. That was my last chance. Was not able to capitalize, did not find any basic Pokemon. It feels so bad, too, when your opponent has something like a 12-card hand that there's just not a single Pokemon there. But also, as Teja, you did use the Captivating Wink on the turn previous, so you were aware of how many Pokemon Communications were in hand. Of course, you saw that Mew get put back in. I guess just really banking on the fact, hey, maybe Kevin got a little unlucky and took a Pokemon off the prizes.
Yeah, you only have a few opportunities to play Mawile during the game. You gotta take chances somewhere. Right. Sometimes you just get a little unlucky, as we saw Teja do there, but so many of these decks running all GX, all V Pokemon in their deck, just Decidueye is great at being able to punish that deck building from the opponent if they are not playing any respective counters to that. Can just run through games for free pretty much.
All right, and it looks like we are ready to get down into game number 2. Kevin here is going to be going second. Of course, Teja lost, got to choose to go first, and we'll see if, I think obviously things didn't work out, but I think the game played out pretty perfectly for Teja to have a chance in this matchup, right?
Yeah, you pretty much have to hit Pokemon off of the Mawiles. Obviously, playing no text like the Aegislash we see in some of these ADPization lists can one-shot the Decidueye after the boosted Altered Creation. Teja going to be going first, optimal here in this matchup. Again, you want to get Altered Creation off as fast as possible. We do see the Quick Ball, get rid of Metal Energy, which can obviously be brought back with Metal Saucer. Going to grab the Zacian V, attach, and Intrepid Sword. So hand might be a little bit weak for Teja if we're not going to see the turn 1 attachment onto the ADP.
Such an unfortunate starter, though. That Mawile is, I mean, you need these Mawiles to have a chance in this matchup, it feels like. So now you're really going to have to get a lot of value out of the one remaining Mawile GX in your deck. Now, I mean, it's not just as simple as getting use out of your Mawile, right? Kevin still has to set up. Kevin needs to find the Decidueye, get the rare candy pieces. Now with this Basculin start, you're going to have to find the Scoop Up Net as well at some point in order to get that out of play. And this is a situation where ADP can take advantage of, you know, a slower start because you will still get 2 prizes on this Basculin.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of this matchup, again, as we said, is getting those non-Decidueye Pokemon out of play so that your opponent cannot gust those up with Boss's Orders. Every 1 prizer turns into a 2 prizer, and with Altered Creation, your opponent only needs 3 knockouts to secure the victory. So I think Kevin deciding here whether or not to attach the Capture Energy to this Rowlet, possibly to get yet another Rowlet or the Snorlax down into play as we see him eye that up. That would be a great way to increase the hand size. Kevin has really nothing else, not playing any of those support Pokemon like the Dene or Crobat, so has no way to draw cards besides that. So
Yeah, this is a
looks
pretty good
like-
turn, I think, to utilize the Snorlax. You can go ahead and capture energy it down. You've got the scoop up net. You also have a couple quick balls, so you could even thin your hand down all the way to 0 if you wanted. And I wonder if we'll see Kevin just get maybe something that they don't need out of the deck here. Just going to go ahead and grab Rowlet. I wouldn't have hated seeing just, grab the Tapu Fini there, quick ball it away again, and then you get to draw an additional card off of the Gourmandize, and you also get rid of one more of those basic Pokemon, right?
Yeah, looks like found a lot of cool cards like that Rosa, Pokemon Communications, even has more outs, I believe. Found a scoop up net as well off of that. And this is looking like an excellent turn 2 for Teja. Has the Metal Saucer, the Water Energy under the ADP. Big Charm as well to put that Zacian a little bit out of range, can just take a little bit more damage before getting knocked out. And looks like Dedenne going to use that Dedenne Change ability to discard the hand and draw 6 new cards. Teja really looking for that energy switch to get this ADP powered up. Obviously already attached for turn. We'll also need a way to pivot that Mawile out of the active position.
Yep, just one switch and one energy switch away from pulling off the turn 2 Altered Creation, which is exactly what you want as the Arceus Dialga Palkia player. Playing this Cherish Ball here could just be thinning something out. I believe did use that Dedenne this turn, right? So can't continue to draw with another Dedenne change. But I mean, usually the second Cherish Ball, if you're not going to be getting a Mawile, this feels like not a great turn to Mawile, right? So maybe just thinning out the other copy of Arceus Dialga Palkia, and that's not something you ever really need to see. Benching 2 tag teams never feels great as the ADP player. So, and I think this also could be one of Teja's first deck searches. So this could be an opportunity to kind of take a moment to take a look at those prize cards.
Yeah, so we'll see what gets grabbed off of this. Obviously, thinning the deck out could be a potential strategy for Teja. You want to maximize those cards out of the deck that are not really playable, cards that you really don't want to find into your hand, as we do see the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia get grabbed out of the deck with that Cherish Ball. We're going to see another one actually get played, so potentially could grab something else, but just going to go ahead and fail that as Quick Ball. We'll go ahead and most likely ditch one of those non-playable cards like the Arceus Dialga Pokemon. Gonna grab nothing off of it. So Teja most likely going to be thinning for something like that Crobat, and is going to be able to draw 4 fresh cards off of that Dark Asset.
Yep, finds the switch. Let's see it. Is there an energy switch as well? I imagine if you're playing this piece, that means you got the other one. And sure enough, energy switch, moving that metal energy up to the active. And now we'll even see a Professor's Research. Teja really popping off here on this turn. I mean, it feels really good to have a turn like this, but it also at the same time is like, man, can I have turns like this when I'm playing against matchups that aren't terrible for me, But Teja definitely setting up pretty well and has that Altered Creation live and active.
Yeah, action is back on Kevin. Looks like playing the Quick Ball to get rid of the Jirachi. Obviously, again, want to get rid of as many basic Pokemon out of the deck. And we could see actually the Gourmandize here could thin out an extra card with that Martial Arts Dojo. Again, it's not very necessary this matchup. Or we're going to see the early Scoop Up Net onto the Snorlax. Does not want to allow Teja to take any free prizes, as Pokemon Communications will just throw it back into the deck. Has the Rosa in hand. There's nothing really else you could ask for here if you're Kevin. You pretty much have your game plan set. My opponent's going to take a knockout on one of these Rowlets. I'm going to play Rosa, get my Decidueye out, and then hope that the other Mawile in my opponent's deck does not grab a bunch of basic Pokemon out of my hand.
Yeah, really smart as well from Kevin. Most people would see that Bird Keeper glowing in their hand and be like, ooh, I get to draw some cards. But in this instance, it's actually better not to draw cards. Kevin understands the matchup, knows that one of the only ways he can lose is if Teja gets a lucky Mawile, throws down a couple of basic Pokemon, and so Bird Keeper gives you an opportunity to potentially draw into some of those unfavorable Pokemon that you wouldn't want to have in play. You've got the Rosa, so as long as Teja does take this knockout, which of course they should be doing, you're going to get the pieces Decidueye, Rare Candy, and the basic Grass Energy.
Yeah, and just some things on the board to note here. Ultimate Ray will go ahead and accelerate some more energies onto Zacian V. Teja only has 1 bench space left, so that last bench space is going to have to be for Mawile. If he does bench any more Pokemon, there will be no way Mawile comes down as long as Kevin just goes ahead and passes the turn. As Rosa gets played, we'll be able to grab necessary pieces. Perfect at getting Decidueye out, finds the Rare Candy, the Evolution Pokemon, and the energy. Can even start attacking with Splitting Arrow as soon as this turn.
Yep, very ideal for Kevin. This game plan has played out pretty perfectly. Gonna just go ahead and start targeting down the 2 things on the bench that have the least amount of HP. I mean, Kevin's deck is not very aggressive. You do play some copy of Boss's Orders, right? But you're not looking to, you'll play it later in the game maybe to take that last prize, but targeting down the 2 things with the lowest amount of HP makes the game speed up a little bit more for you.
Yeah, an interesting choice to attach the air balloon. It's going to manually retreat into this Dedenne. Appears that Teja wants to feed Kevin these prizes so that that hand size can get built up as much as possible. This is a position where I feel like Teja is on the back foot a little bit, but still has potential to continue to build up Pokemon with cards like Metal Saucer. Going to accelerate some energy onto the Mawile, make that too. We'll go ahead and just put more energy into play. Not very necessary in this matchup, but just kind of wants to get those cards, I guess, out of hand. We may see this combined with something like a Research, which we do. Just wants to go ahead and play those cards down to the play. The Big Charms, I feel like, especially. Interesting choice to go ahead and attach the Rusted Sword to the Dedenne. I feel it could possibly just be better having no tool attached to it. In the potential that you need to emergency switch it out of the active.
Yeah, definitely. Having the option to put an air balloon could be solid. Could be a situation, though, where maybe Teja has already discarded the other air balloon, maybe has awareness that it's prized, but I guess there's really no benefit to putting the Rusted Sword onto Dene GX, right? So does go ahead. We see Kevin throwing down a little bit of damage onto the board, and we see a Skyla, kind of a nice tech supporter that a lot of Arceus Dialga Palkia decks have been playing these days. Going to go ahead and find the Chaotic Swell, wants to limit that option from Kevin potentially, and looks like Kevin's going to go ahead and throw the Dojo out to counter that, and Splitting Arrow once again will take the first two prizes.
Yeah, it's going to go ahead and take prizes here as we're looking over at Teja's board. Has 10 cards left in deck, which is definitely not what you want to see, as the clock will go down ever so slightly as soon as your turn starts, right? One of the ways to win in the Pokemon trading card game is by deck out. So if you have no cards to draw at the start of your turn, you lose. So Kevin is going to still be aggressive in this case, understands that, hey, putting on aggression is a great way here, and we actually see two Pokemon in the hand. This could, yeah, Research is just going to get played. This is just a great merit, I guess, in this case, but finds two more Pokemon off of this that will be able to thin the Fion out of the deck. Whirlpool Suction allows it to go to the bottom of the deck, but still having a Tapu Fini in the hand, not great, but it kind of feels like if the other Mawile gets played, then it still really doesn't matter because this needs to grab two Pokemon at minimum. And then on top of that, Kevin needs to not find one of those scoop up nets in deck to take that Pokemon out of play.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see Teja just playing kind of the defensive switch, not playing things like the, using things like Intrepid Sword anymore. And Kevin going to go ahead and top deck the Pokemon Communication. Certainly ideal there. Puts the Pokemon back into the deck. And it's just a few more turns of attacking away from Splitting Arrow, eventually taking all of these prize cards.
Yeah, Teja not doing very much, just passing the turn. Another unfortunate top deck being a Pokemon, but again, needs to find two or more off the second Mawile.
This actually could be a little scary for Kevin, because if you take two Pokemon off your prizes and your opponent plays down that second Mawile, I mean, you can get one Scoop Up Net with Rosa, right? But you won't be able to get multiple. So let's see how many Pokemon Kevin takes off the prizes here. This could be spell disaster potentially for Kevin. There's a Decidueye, so should be okay at this point. And there's the Rare Candy. No basic Pokemon from the prizes. Perfect for Kevin.
Yeah, it seems like Teja is running out of options, especially as that Mawile only grabs the Snorlax.
Yep.
Teja will have no option to take these final two prize cards. Acknowledging that, gonna go ahead and give it GG's here.